The key to success in almost any situation starts with believing you belong there. I can't tell you how many times throughout my career, throughout my life, I've felt like I don't belong. Imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, it's this idea that you're going into a situation and you just feel overwhelmingly like you're not ready, like you're unprepared, like you don't belong, like you're not qualified. Insert negative thought here. It happens to almost any working professional. It certainly happens in sales. I know it happens in real estate. I think a huge part of life of being a professional is overcoming that self-doubt and overcoming imposter syndrome. I've had to do it when I was buying my first investor property. I had to do it when I was switching industries to get into real estate. I've had to do it when I gave my first speech in front of a large room of people. There's always times where you feel like you don't belong, or maybe you feel like you're not ready to be in the situation you're in. But that's you convincing yourself, and it's negative self-talk. So today's video is a little bit separate from real estate. We're going to talk about overcoming negative self-talk. And specifically, some of the lessons that I picked up through the years from trial and error, failure in some cases, and in many cases, great advice from mentors to help me get over the fear of being in any situation. First and foremost, the subject matter gets easier if you understand it. Preparation is key. If you get up to present in front of a room and you don't fully understand the subject matter that you're presenting on, yes, that has a pretty high potential to be an embarrassing situation. You're not prepared to deliver in that moment. If you go into a listing presentation with a seller who's trying to sell a $1 or $2 or $3 or $10 million property, and you haven't prepared for how to sell a property in that price point, you don't know what you would say to them in terms of what value you deliver, yes, probably relatively low odds that you're going to be successful in that moment. Preparation is everything. The better you understand and communicate what it is you're actually talking about with your audience, the more they're going to relate to you, the more at ease you're going to be in that moment, and the less out of place you're going to feel when the time comes. This is the difference between somebody who maybe prepares a speech by memorizing it, right? You have the speech in your mind one way, but then if something happens and maybe you lose your rhythm, you forget something, somebody throws you off, you don't actually know the content. You just memorize the speech, and it's going to be very difficult for you to move forward from that point on. Versus the person who understands the subject matter so well, they don't need to memorize the speech. They know what they need to talk about. Sure, they have a rough draft. Before I got on and hit record today, I had a rough idea of what I was going to say, but I'm talking about a subject that I can relate to personally, a subject that I've dealt with before, and something that I know I can add value to somebody else by sharing my personal experience. So the more that you actually grapple with and understand whatever it is that you're talking about, dealing with, putting out into the world, the less likely it is you're going to feel at odds or out of place when you're doing it. The second part of this comes with practice. If you know the subject matter so well that you can answer pretty much any question about it, but you lack the skills to get on stage and deliver that to an audience, or you lack the confidence to sit in front of another seller and share that information, that can be crippling in its own right. It doesn't matter what you know if you are failing to communicate it effectively. So step 2 in this is figuring out what communication strategy works for you. I'm not shy. I don't mind being on camera. I don't mind being in person. I don't mind public speaking. For me, I kind of get a kick out of it, to be honest. I think it's exciting and it's something that I enjoy doing. That might not be your path. Some people really prefer to communicate by writing things down. If you can write things way more efficiently than you can speak them out loud, that might be the way that you can communicate your expertise and overcome feeling like an imposter. It's okay to have a great email follow-up strategy, even though your phone calls are a little bit wanting. I remember a very key moment where this served me well. It was back in my previous career. I was in tech sales and I was interviewing for a position that, frankly, I had no business interviewing for. I was in the business for about 6 months and I saw this position in New Jersey. Huge step up compared to what I was doing at the time. I was cold calling IT professionals in a back room in Wisconsin, somehow trying to convince them that they should sit down and talk with my sales rep to buy data storage. This position was managing the entire several billion-dollar relationship with one of our largest distributors in the United States for the entire Northeast, from Maryland to Maine. It was a massive step up in responsibilities and in visibility of my position. But I got it. I got the promotion. And the way that I got it was presenting well. In my interview, I did not present at all that I was lacking confidence to do the job. It was a partner liaison job. They were looking for somebody who could confidently represent the brand with people who were trying to learn about it. And so that's what I represented. So going back to where we started, I studied my ass off. I learned everything there was to learn about our Northeast relationships, our partner strategy, what we were going to need to accomplish there, what the role had been lacking up to that point. And then I practiced my delivery. I practiced my interview. I practiced speaking as if I was speaking to another person about the business. And when I went in to interview for that role, I came out with no doubts in my mind that they were going to hire me for it. And they did. I moved to Jersey a couple weeks later. The point of that story is overcoming that adversity. Had I taken that moment and folded in on myself, oh, I'm not qualified for this. There's no way that I can go for that role. I don't have the experience. I never would have gotten it. The second you let that belief sneak in that you don't belong or that you don't deserve, that's a crippling thought for a business professional, for your personal life. It really doesn't matter. You've got to eliminate the negative self-talk. Rather than letting it cripple me that I wasn't qualified for the role, I took that opportunity to see where I could learn to become qualified. Where did I need to improve? What skills did I need to develop? What data did I need to study to fit what they were looking for? And I think that that's an encouraging reminder for anybody in a position maybe going for something that's a little bit outside your reach. You can better yourself to reach further and accomplish more than you think. So don't hold yourself back. Don't let negative self-talk be the reason you don't go for something. Try to expand, try to get better, try to reach farther. See what you can do. What's the worst that can happen? Speaking of the worst that can happen, I think eliminating fear, and specifically the fear of failure or the fear of success, is critical to being able to succeed. Let's break that down. Many people understand the fear of failure. That's where you start with most processes. I don't understand how to do it. I don't want to do it because I think I won't do it well. I don't think I can do that. That's the fear of failure speaking. And if you're speaking that to yourself, chances are good you're not going to accomplish whatever it is you're setting out to do. If you can eliminate that portion of things, there's this whole secondary beast you got to deal with, which is the fear of success. It is one thing to tell yourself, I can't get there because I don't know how to do it. Fear of failure. It's another thing to say, I know how to do it. I don't think I can get there. That's fear of success. You are afraid to go for what you want. You're afraid to go for maybe what you deserve for no other reason other than self-doubt. That is the crippling effect we all deal with. And it comes at you twice. Everybody thinks you got to get over the fear of failure. Well, you can convince yourself you're not going to fail. You then have to convince yourself you need to push to success. For me, this transition happens between like year 1 and year 2 in my real estate career. Early on, when I got into this business, there was a legitimate chance that I was just going to fail. I wasn't going to make enough money to keep going. I wasn't going to make enough money to sustain. I was going to have to go back to doing some kind of corporate job. That was a very real risk when I started in the industry. So the fear of failure existed. Once I got through that, I made it through year 1. I realized, okay, I can do this. I can support my life. I can feed myself. Then it became the fear of success. Now I had to learn how to actually grow a business and how to do what I have been doing at scale and how to do it better and how to actually deliver higher quality services. That was hard. It was a very real challenge to look at. And at times it was daunting. So the fear of success starts to sneak in where you look at, oh gosh, do I really want to do everything that's involved in actually getting to where I want to be? It's hard, and you have to convince yourself, usually by coming back to what you know. Remember how we got here. I knew in the background that I possessed the data set and the skill set to actually deliver these services. I have worked to refine my delivery of those services so that I can confidently deliver them. I've eliminated the fear of failure, and now my last challenge is just eliminating the fear of success, which is going for what I want, not letting anything hold me back. Thankfully, I do feel like that's where I'm at in my career right now. I made it to a point where I'm not afraid to reach for things that are slightly outside of my comfort zone or outside of what I've done before. I'm taking new risks and challenges in my business to push myself into new places of fear, places where I can figure out how to succeed and figure out how to be different as things change. So if you're watching this and maybe you have the fear of getting started, where I often see this is maybe you're looking to make your first investment and you're just afraid to pull the trigger. Go back to the stages of making yourself feel confident. Start with the data. Do you know it's a good deal? Have you done the homework to establish that it's a good deal? Have you looked at the hundreds of deals to figure out what a good deal actually is? Go through the confidence boosting phase of your delivery. Now that it is a good deal, do you have what it takes to go negotiate it for it? Do you feel confident to go present something of value to that seller and try to take that deal down? And then number 3, do you have a strategy to eliminate the fear of failure and the fear of success once you take that investment down? Apply this same logic to pretty much anything that you're dealing with in life, and you can get through imposter syndrome. You can get through the fear of feeling like you don't belong. I hope this video was helpful. It's taken me a long time in my professional and my personal journey to get to a point where I could make a video like this and share information with you. Hopefully it resonates. And if you find yourself thinking of some strategies of your own that you've used to overcome imposter syndrome, leave them in the comments. I would love if somebody else got value from what you have to say. That's the whole point of making videos like this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.